Hello everyone, this is and hello and welcome. This is our first video about IGCSE Physics video series. The first video is going to be about the first topic of the length and measurement. Okay, in this unit, actually it's not a unit, it's just kind of topic. In this topic we will include many things, and one of the first thing is going to be about physical quantities. Okay, many students are struggling with these things, actually basically to understand what is the physical quantity itself. So they're asking, what is the quantity, what does it mean? Okay, so it's a kind of strange kind of scientific word, like they don't understand. Maybe you just understand it like a word meaning in English, but you don't simply understand what does it mean, physical quantity, right? So as you have a kind of tools in everyday life, let's say that we can give example of, for example, TV. We can give example of, for example, fridge. We can give example like car. It's also kind of course, it's type of tool which is making our lives easier to go one destination to another. Like there can be another tool like hammer. Simply, there is another tool like a spanner. There is another tool like a screwdriver. Okay, like we have this kind of tools, and they just have the kind of functionality in our life, right? So they are functioning for different purposes. For why do we use a TV? Why do we use it? So its main purpose is to spread the information around the world, and some kind of streaming some TV shows and so on and so forth. What is the purpose of fridge? To keep our food fresh. So why do we use a car? To go one point to another one. Why do we use a hammer? So we use a hammer to sticking something into another one, like sticking the nail into the wood. So do we use a spanner for loosening and tightening some bolts? Why do we use a screwdriver? With screwdriver for tightening some kind of knots and screws and loosening them from their places. So everything has a kind of function. And of course in the physics we have some kind of tools. They have some functions. Okay, they have some kind of properties. We use them for specific purposes, and we call these things as a physical quantities. Okay, we call a bunch of these things with a general name as a physical quantities. Okay, but in the beginning of this course we're going to only learn about three main physical quantities. So one of them is going to be, one of the first one is going to be mass. Second one is going to be the length. Third one is going to be time. Okay, so maybe you're already familiar what is the mass, what is the length, and what is the time, but you just know them as a kind of word, right? You don't know, sometimes you don't understand what does it mean mass. Some of you even, I'm sure you are confusing mass with the weight, but we will figure it out later. Okay, we will think about it. All right, so what does it mass? So mass, if you give kind of explanation for the mass is type of thing, type of physical quantity, or you may call it as a kind of tool if you want. All right, okay, let me change the color. So mass is a type of tool or physical quantity which is describing how much stuff is your object made of. Or simply you can call it how heavy is it, how heavy or how light is it. Okay, then about length. So what does it mean, length? Length simply explains the how far something, how far away the points are. Okay, how far away the each points uh, each points away from each other, or how much distance is there between them. Okay, so the length is describing how far something places from another, from another one, right? So the time is another very specific tool. We use it a lot. We're going to use it a lot in physics. So time stands for example, you ask your friend, how much should I wait for you over here on this point or specific place to him or her to come for. So you just call it how long you could possibly wait for the result of something, or for a result of something, or for a result of something, or for something to happen, okay. I have a kind of little spelling mistake here, I'm sorry. So how long you could possibly wait for a result of something, right? Result of something, or how much you should wait, you should wait just for something to happen. Okay, we just give the word meaning of these three main physical quantities, but again, they're just a bunch of words. We did not explain anything about them, which can make kind of new paths in your IGCSE Physics study route. Okay, so what we have to learn about these things. So first of all, you have to know, I can give it like with the little bar chart, or not bar chart, I will give it with the schedule, like a table. Okay, so if I draw kind of table which consists of this main three quantity, okay, mass, right? So one of them is going to be mass, second one is going to be the length, and the other one is going to be time, right? So if I draw kind of, oh sorry, this one. So if I draw kind of straight lines just for differentiating these three units from each other, not units, I'm sorry, quantities from each other. So if you learn about these things, if you just define them but simply with the numbers, it wouldn't be a wise choice. It wouldn't be a wise step to explain it or understand it. So that is why we add new notion which is called unit. The word is unit of physical quantity. Okay, unit of physical, I'm going to write it in a short form, physical quantity. Okay, I will write the physical quantity as a letter combination P and Q. Okay, unit of physical quantity. Each of physical quantity has their own units, like all these things has their own kind of specification. All of these physical quantities, they all have their own specification, okay? And the specification, one of the specification of these physical quantities is going to be unit of these physical quantities. So it depends how do you define it. For example, if I simply write it, this is mass is 2, length is 2, and time is 2, you would say me, what does it mean 2? Okay, you cannot differentiate them if you just write 1, 2, right? So you have to delegate it, you have to depict it or represent it with kind of letter combination, and this letter combination is called unit. Okay, so simple writing just numbers doesn't define the physical quantity completely. That is why we have a necessity to add new notion which is called unit of physical quantity. Okay, let me delete these things from here, the numbers. Okay, so we added the notion of unit, so each of them has a unit. So the unit for mass, you can call it, the unit of mass is going to be kilogram, unit of length is going to be the length, sorry, not length, oh sorry, terrible mistake. So unit of length is going to be meter, and unit of time is going to be second. Okay, and we have short form of this units. Instead of writing them in a long way, we write them in a short way. So how do we write them in a short way? Instead of writing just this long word kilogram, which has a bunch of letters that I have here, I just simply write it with the combination K and G. Instead of writing meter, I just write it like a M, lowercase m. Instead of writing second as a second, I just write it in a short form like this, so second, right? Okay, so we understood what are the units of these things, okay? But in the equation, we also can write these things in a short form. Instead of writing mass, length, and time, we can simply write this one as a, okay, let me choose the, I think the red color would be more wise to use it here. So the for the mass, we're going to use letter M simply for the equations. Okay, this is not unit, by the way. This is just representation, short form or abbreviation for the mass. Okay, for the length, we're going to use letter L or letter D. So both of them may be used in the equations. So the time is going to be shown with the letter lowercase t, right? So the last thing I'm going to tell you about, the last main thing I'm going to tell about, what kind of devices do we use for defining these three main quantity, these three main physical physical stuff to define other things. Okay, so this thing is going to be what kind of device do we use for measuring the mass. Okay, so what kind of device do I use for measuring mass? I use, as you know, scale or beam balance. Okay, beam balance or other type of electronic scales and beam balance and so on and so forth. So what do I use for measuring length? I use a ruler. Okay, I use a kind of calipers. I use micrometers. I use vernier caliper. Okay, vernier caliper, or some kind of more advanced system which is using advancements of technology like GPS systems and so on and so forth. Okay, it can be GPS systems as well. Okay, then what do we use for measuring the time? So this is going to be that device is going to be just well-known thing. Everybody knows that. Why do we think about too much? So it's going to be stopwatch. Mainly, of course, it's a clock. Okay, then another thing is going to be timer, electronic version or analog version, it doesn't matter. So you can use timer, analog, and so on and so forth. Okay, so simply the first basic information about the general physics first unit, it has to be about length and measurement. You have to understand what is the physical quantity. We understood that the physical quantity is just type of tool, that we use for define different specifications in physics. And the main ones are these three of them: one, two, and three. The one is the mass, second one is the length, third one is the time. And we described their units. Mass of unit of mass is going to be kilogram, mass of the length is going to be meter, mass of the time is going to be second, and devices that we use them to measure these main three physical quantity. All right, have a good time. Goodbye.